It was a year ago and he hasn't fought, and even in that fight he stopped in the first round. He looks slower in my opinion. So alright, welcome back to another video over here on SCS Combat, and today I'm going to be giving you my official predictions for UFC Winnipeg going down tonight. Actually at the time of recording, a bit of a late one, but we're at the PFL on Thursday, so we gotta do what we gotta do. Still getting it out though. Gilbert Burns takes on Mike Malott. Pretty good main event. Before we get into it, remember, subscribe, come back, because I'm live every weekend for the UFC doing a watch party. I'll be live again tonight. Make sure to come back for that. Alright, let's get into it. So firstly, starting off, Gilbert Burns has had a bit of a rough time in his career as of recently. I mean, he's been on a pretty consecutive losing streak ever since he lost to Bilal Muhammad, and it's sad to see in a way, 'cause Gilbert Burns, I mean, I remember when he fought Usman for the title and dropped him, or whenever he was fighting like insanely quick turnarounds and he was winning. He is a fan favorite and he still is. He was one of the best, but ever since that one Bilal Muhammad fight, not been the best for him. Gilbert is on a 4-fight losing streak, I believe. The last time Gilbert Burns won was against Jorge Masvidal in 2023, and from then he has lost. Yeah, this is the run I was on about, by the way, just quickly. He fights Neil Magny in January of 2023. He fights Masvidal in April of 2023, and he fights Bilal Muhammad in May of 2023. So insane run there, but from then he's lost to Bilal Muhammad decision, Jack Della Maddalena via KO, Sean Brady via decision, and Michael Morales round 1 KO. So that was May last year, nearly a year ago now. It's not been good for Gilbert Burns over the recent history. His opponent, on the other hand, Mike Malott, lost to Neil Magny, and that was obviously a big sort of point in his career, and he was out in front of the crowd in Canada, I believe, and he was winning, and then in the third round Magny comes back and beats him. But from then, 3-fight winning streak, straight back to it. They hear 2 decision victories over Giles and Kevin Holland, obviously, but in between he does get a TKO finish against Rozwadacki. So apart from that as well, apart from Neil Magny in the UFC, he has not lost. So got a few KOs, a few submissions. Gilbert Burns, look, as much as I think he's a legend in this sport, you know, the fights that he's had, the fights that he took on, and I believe he probably would have been UFC champion at that time if it wasn't for obviously Kamaru Usman being the greatest, arguably, or the second greatest welterweight fighter of all time, and obviously being the current champion at that time. It makes things a lot harder for any challengers. Yeah, if you're looking at the likes of like Gilbert Burns against Jorge Masvidal back then, Gilbert Burns probably would have won. So it's kind of sad at that point. It's a 4-fight losing streak, and in my opinion, it was a year ago and he hasn't fought, and even in that fight he stopped in the first round. He looks slower in my opinion, so I don't know if it's going to be a good one for Gilbert Burns. Mike Malott, on the other hand, I don't know if he'll be a champion, but I think he'll definitely be in that top 10, top 15 range over his career, and I think he's up and coming. He's got a fresh start with this win streak. He's got that momentum going. Gilbert Burns, the away fighter for this one as well, and it's sort of, trust me, a prime Gilbert Burns would absolutely destroy Mike Malott at probably any point of his career. I don't think we've seen Mike Malott in his prime yet, but trust me, prime Gilbert Burns would probably beat him. Unfortunately, at this stage of the career with the loser streak, and I just think he looked a step slower in that last fight against Morales, who's obviously not been beaten, by the way, but I'm going to pick Mike Malott to get this one done. I'm going to take him over decision. I think he just wins the striking on the feet. I don't think Gilbert Burns is quick enough these days for it. I think he's just a step too slow. Obviously, he's great jiu-jitsu. That could be interesting, but yeah, I don't think this one's going to end well for Gilbert Burns, and I think he'll probably go out after this one on a 5-fight losing streak and maybe retire, but we'll see. And he could win this because there's still a lot of potential for him to get it done with his ground game, and if he is, maybe he was injured in the Morales fight and maybe he's a bit quicker in this one, then I think it gets interesting. But I think just in the current form that he was in his last fight, I don't think I'm going to pick him here. I think Mike Malott got all the momentum. He's going to go out determined to get that win in front of the crowd of Canada again, and I think he's going to do it this time. But maybe Gilbert Burns submits him. That could definitely happen. I just think this is the end of the career for Gilbert Burns, and I wish it wasn't, because he was a great fighter, and maybe he still is, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Mike Mallott's probably going to beat him over a decision. Be the best fight ever, but I think he gets it done. But if you got something else, if you think Gilbert win, maybe he gets submission. I think that is the only possible way for him here. Or maybe it is Mike Mallott's first 5-rounder, isn't it? That's very interesting. Maybe Gilbert Burns could take over. Maybe Malott gets tired going over the 5 rounds, but I think Mallott's going to get this one done. And now that I just realized it's 5 rounds, because this is sort of a crazy main event, to be honest. Maybe he finishes Gilbert in there in like the 4th. But tough one to pick, because any other time of his career, probably even before the Morales fight, I would have picked Gilbert Burns. He used to be unreal. I remember him fighting Usman, and I remember watching him before and after that. That was sort of, whenever I seen he was fighting Usman, that was one of the ones where I was like, oh, Usman could actually be in trouble here. But obviously dropped Usman, but Usman got it done in the next round, and been a spectacular fighter over his career. So the way to end this is, if Gilbert Burns does retire, shout out to him. He's been one of my favorites to watch over his time in the UFC. Always brought great fights and always fought. The next guy, the up and comer, he's always fought. He's never turned down a tough fight. So shout out to Gilbert Burns. Just think that maybe this is the end, and I think Mike Mallott's gonna beat him over, they go late stoppage or decision. But that's my pick for that one. UFC Winnipeg going down this weekend in Canada tonight. Let's go. Don't forget yet, I will be back being live for this one. Pretty decent card. We got Kyler Phillips, Charles Jourdain on there. That's going to be a good fight. Jay Herbert's on there. Jasmine Jasvulikis is on there. Alright, there's a couple of good fights on there. We'll be live for the whole main card, so make sure to come back here. Like, subscribe, follow for more Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.